It is pieces of you and pieces of me that put us all together. And many times those pieces are shared through our stories, whether in a support group, whether in writing, whether in a video of this nature. Because as I hear your story, I hear pieces of me. I realize that I'm not alone. And this morning, I want to share with you three items, three extraordinary examples of sharing in the world of family caregiving. First of all, October is and has been Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so each month throughout the year, there are different things that we focus on, but breast cancer is in October. And I want to share with you an incredible piece that has been created. Actually, it was created about 7 years ago. The writer, the playwright and actor, who had been formerly a lawyer, this is an encore career, as it were, a brilliant gentleman by the name of Sam Simon, wrote a play entitled, and I have the actual playbill here, The Actual Dance. It's an incredibly powerful 1-hour drama, and if you've not seen it, I urge you to find a place or to bring it to your community, because that's available. It's a one-man show, and therefore it makes it possible to travel. The Actual Dance is Sam's story of his wife's journey in breast cancer. It is a powerful story, and certainly I fell in love with it from the very first time that the then director of Intersections International brought Sam and this fine work to my attention. What I loved about it was the fact that it was another face of family caregiving, and one that we don't see that often, and that is the man's caregiving journey. This is a powerful, powerful story, a powerful, powerful journey. It teaches us a great deal about breast cancer. It teaches us a great deal about disease and its impact physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And it also blesses us because we see the enormous impact of disease, not just on the care recipient, but on the entire demographic of the family caregiver, on the family. And so I urge you, if you've not seen this, The Actual Dance, Google it. Consider it as an event in your neighborhood. I feel like I'm doing a promotion, and I'm happy to do that. But I'm really doing it because this is how so much help has been given to people all over the world. I am constantly experiencing that because it's people who go through something. They have a special perspective on it, and they bless us by allowing us to see their vulnerability, their tears, their weakness, their fear, and walk with us through that as they too are healing. For this has been very healing for Sam. That's another aspect of this drama. Now, if you're in New York, I'm going to have the privilege of doing a performance. Mr. Chuck Obasi, another noted actor, is doing this performance on, and I'm going to read it so I get everything correct, October 29th at 8 p.m. It's being done in one of my favorite halls in all of New York City, and it's the best kept secret. It's at the National Opera Center, 330 7th Avenue, that's about 28th, 29th Street, in the Mark A. Sorka Hall. This is the most exquisite jewel. So if you're free, Google The Actual Dance, October 29th, here in New York City. Tickets are available. I'd love to see you, and I'd love to meet you. If you're not in New York, Google it. Read what Sam has done and consider your story. How are you telling it? Now, I just said a moment ago how all over the world stories make an impact. Family caregiving, and it's probably been the thing that has attracted me the most, is the fact that it is totally universal. It totally speaks of the oneness, for all the world understands golden rule living, whether from a religious perspective or a secular perspective. The golden rule living is there. Last week, I had the privilege to be one of the co-chairs for the UN NGO committee's very exciting event here in New York City, the International Day of Older Persons. And this is an event that has some extraordinary speakers from all over the world who come together for about a 3 or 4 hour session in the UN. And this year it was on aging equality. It is a very important topic. What is it really saying? It's naming it. It is not forgetting the importance of the older person as themselves and intergenerationally. Now, this committee that I've had the privilege of sitting on for many years is working very hard on what is known as, now I'm losing the word, it's a, I can't think of the word. All right. No, it will come back to me. But they are working on a document, which is what this really is, a document for the UN on the older person. And I truly am excited that this type of focus is being done. People came from all over the world, and there was a special moment for me when one gentleman said to me, Greg, I need more of those booklets. He was talking about Emblem Health's Care for the Family Caregiver Program. He'd heard me speak in Singapore and made contact with me in Bali. In fact, one day I was working with a group of people from Malaysia, and suddenly one of my staff came to me and said, oh, Greg, Aging Nepal is on the phone. And I jokingly said, oh, sure, no one gets old there, they go to Shangri-La. Well, it was indeed an incredible organization run by a very distinguished gentleman who was being honored for his work in literacy in Nepal. The organization is Aging Nepal, and it is dealing with the seniors and the older persons in Nepal. And caregiving has been one of the big topics because it is caregiving responsibilities that have hindered people from often being able to go and to learn to read and to write. It's a powerful story. Well, I'm so grateful that as a result of the UN and our conference on the International Day of Older Persons, we were able to reconnect, and we were able to have the opportunity to share our work in family caregiving. Now, talking of older persons, the word I was looking for is convention. In UN speak, the word convention is a document that everyone will eventually, God willing, sign on to, and that it will be adopted because it brings strength, it brings attention, and it brings the united strength of a very important institution in our world. So, if you've never heard of this, I urge you to take a look at the UN NGO Committee on Aging. There are many documents and reports, and also the International Federation on Aging. Its Secretary General was present and, in fact, moderated a marvelous panel. So I urge you to look at all of these organizations because each of them has a story. Each of them tells their stories, and each of them is potential and strength in your world, right here, wherever you may be. Now, the third area that I want to share with you, also this past week, was National Coming Out Day. This is a wonderfully important day. And at Emblem Health, we have what is known as an employee resource group. It's an affinity group for the LGBT community and allies. It's called PRISM, and I've had the privilege of being part of this since its very beginning. And each year we honor a specific organization that is doing incredible work here in New York and beyond. And this year we honored Jane Clementi and the Tyler Clementi Foundation. Now, if you're not familiar with this, I urge you and all of your friends to quickly Google TylerClementiFoundation.org, the TylerClementiFoundation.org. And I want you to go on there and become an upstander. Now, what is an upstander? Well, first of all, let me tell you very briefly what the foundation is about for those of you who are not in the America area or in the New York area. Tyler, at 18, was a college student at one of the universities here. He was a freshman. He had also just come to the realization that he was gay and was coming out to himself and to his family and exploring who he really was. In college, shortly after beginning the term, he was videotaped in what should have been a very intimate and precious moment by a roommate. This went viral. And unfortunately, Tyler made an irreversible decision. After about a week of enormous pain, of enormous guilt, of enormous contradictions, Tyler was overwhelmed and jumped from the George Washington Bridge. His family, led by an incredibly beautiful woman whom I'm privileged to know as a dear friend, Jane Clementi, after a time of processing and continuing to process, decided that bullying needed to be talked of. It needed to be brought up in a much broader sense. And Jane and her family, people who are not used to the spotlight, who really don't want the spotlight, but were thrust into it, accepted with grace that challenge, and are doing incredible work so that no family will ever need to go through the pain and the suffering with which they go. We were privileged to hear Jane speak, and it was very powerful. She told Tyler's story. She talked about the beginning of the foundation and also the work and the research that they've done and how she was overwhelmed by how many bystanders there were in bullying situations. People who saw what was going on, but did nothing. They didn't reach in and say, no, we don't do that here. No, that's not appropriate. What on earth are you doing? No, they simply stepped back and were a bystander. And Jane and the foundation have created, and I want each and every person listening to my voice to be part of this. They've created upstanders, people who are willing to get involved. People who are willing to either personally get involved or to get authorities to go in if the situation is too difficult. That we stop bullying and support people. How do you do it? You go TylerClementiFoundation.org. Tyler Clementi, it may even be TylerClementi.org. You know I'm very bad with URLs. But just Google it and you will find the correct. And it will come up suddenly on the homepage. Join as an upstander. The process is very simple. I did it. So please take advantage of this opportunity to be part of someone else's journey and bless another. That is the gift. Now, these are but 3 wonderful things that have happened within the past week and a half. I'm very blessed to be part of these, and I'm going to just share one other item with you to put on your calendar on November, if you're in New York, November 14th. This doesn't show up well. The Johns Hopkins Bayview Medical Center, through a grant from the Perper Foundation, we'll be hosting the 7th annual Perper Symposium here in New York City at 5th Avenue Presbyterian Church, 55th and 5th Avenue, on November 14th. And the topic is Understanding Substance Use Disorder, a Community Approach to Healing. It's going to be my privilege to serve as the host for the morning, where we have very academic and wonderfully brilliant people who are going to be sharing much research, sharing the enormous impact of the opioid crisis. And then in the afternoon, I will be moderating and participating in a panel made up of those of us who have the disease and are blessed with recovery. So it's going to be a very inclusive day, and it will be made more inclusive if you join us. We would love to have you do that. Now, it's been wonderful being with you again this morning, and I will be with you next week. We're back onto our regular schedule. In the meantime, I'm always thrilled when people write to me, email me, and of course the easiest way to do that is through Emblem Health. So if you have a question, a comment, whatever, if there's some way I can help you or something I can clarify, please, gjohnson@emblemhealth.com. And if you need copies of this book, they are available in English, Spanish, and Chinese. And you can honestly find those links, those URLs, on the emblemhealth.com/care for the family caregiver. One word. And it will take you directly to our brand new website, which we're very proud of. It's excellent. So please, or as I say, write to me, request hard copies, English, Spanish, or Chinese, and I will be only too happy to see that you get those. Now this morning, in our way of oneness, in our way of uniting, I want to end with a prayer that has, of course, been very special to me and to millions and millions of people. But I'm going to read it in a different translation. It is the Lord's Prayer, done in a translation from the original Aramaic. So will you join me? O cosmic birther of all radiance and vibration, soften the ground of our being and carve out a space within us where your presence can abide. Fill us with your creativity so that we may be empowered to bear the fruit of your mission. Let each of our actions bear fruit in accordance with our desire. Endow us with the wisdom to produce and share what each bring needs to grow and flourish. Untie the tangled threads of destiny that bind us as we release others from the entanglement of past mistakes. Do not let us be seduced by that which would divert us from our true purpose, but illuminate the opportunities of the present moment. For you are the ground and the fruitful vision, the birth, power, and fulfillment, as all is gathered and made whole once again. Amen. Thank you for being with me this morning, and I look forward to being with you next week, Friday, with the Rev. Have a wonderful week. God bless. I'll see you then.